In a move that has sent ripples through the international defense community, the Philippine government has officially rejected a massive $5.5 billion arms package from the United States, a deal that was primarily centered on acquiring a fleet of advanced F-16 fighter jets, long considered a symbol of air power and a significant upgrade for any nation's air force. Had it gone through, this would have represented the largest military modernization contract in the history of the Philippines, promising to transform the country's defense capabilities and regional standing. But the government's decision to walk away from the deal marks a major shift in Manila's defense priorities, signaling a new era in how the country approaches its security needs. The proposed package included not only the fighter jets themselves, but also a comprehensive suite of air-to-air missiles, advanced support equipment, and extensive training programs for pilots and ground crews, elements that Washington viewed as a cornerstone of the long-standing U.S. Philippines alliance and a way to deepen military cooperation. Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro confirmed the rejection at a press conference, explaining that the overwhelming financial commitment required by the deal was simply untenable for the country at this time, especially given other pressing national priorities. The move highlights a growing trend among middle-power nations, who are increasingly forced to balance their military ambitions with urgent domestic needs such as economic recovery, infrastructure development, and social welfare. For the Philippine Air Force, the loss of the F-16s raises important questions about the future of its modernization efforts, and whether alternative, more affordable options can fill the gap left by the canceled deal. There are also concerns about the country's ability to effectively patrol and defend its interests in the increasingly contested waters of the South China Sea, where regional tensions continue to simmer. The decision signals a strategic pivot away from expensive, high-prestige platforms toward more cost-effective asymmetric capabilities, such as drones, fast attack craft, and cyber defense, that can provide flexible responses to modern threats. Ultimately, this story is about much more than a lost sale. It's a reflection of the economic realities facing many nations, the evolution of military doctrine in a changing world, and the complex politics of national sovereignty, as countries like the Philippines seek to chart their own path between global powers and domestic priorities. The F-16 deal was years in the making, the result of countless meetings, technical evaluations, and diplomatic overtures between the United States and the Philippines. What began as a straightforward procurement soon evolved into a complex, high-stakes negotiation that would test the resolve and priorities of both nations. The roots of the deal lay in the Philippine Air Force's urgent push for a true multi-role fighter, an aircraft capable of both air defense and ground attack missions, to complement its existing fleet of F/A-50s, which, while capable, lacked the advanced capabilities needed for modern aerial warfare. By 2019, after years of research and debate, the main contenders had emerged: the American F-16 Viper, renowned for its combat record and global presence, and the Swedish Saab JAS 39 Gripen, a modern fighter praised for its cost-effectiveness and operational flexibility. The F-16 quickly became the frontrunner, favored not only for its proven combat performance, but also for its seamless interoperability with U.S. forces, a key consideration given the Philippines' long-standing defense ties with Washington. Meanwhile, the Gripen was seen as a practical alternative, offering lower acquisition and maintenance costs, which appealed to budget-conscious officials in Manila. After 2 years of rigorous evaluation and back-and-forth discussions, the U.S. State Department gave its green light in 2021, approving a potential sale package that included 12 F-16s, advanced air-to-air missiles, and a suite of support systems. As negotiations continued, the U.S. offer expanded to encompass not just the aircraft, but also extensive training for pilots and ground crews, long-term maintenance support, and upgrades to military infrastructure, an all-inclusive package designed to ensure operational readiness for decades to come. However, this comprehensive approach came at a steep price, ballooning the total cost to an eye-watering $5.5 billion. While the package promised long-term benefits and a leap in capability, its staggering cost quickly became the main sticking point. Philippine officials pored over budget documents, weighing the deal's strategic value against the country's pressing economic needs and limited defense budget. Ultimately, after much deliberation, the Philippine government concluded that the price tag was simply too high to justify, especially given other national priorities and the need for fiscal responsibility. The collapse of the deal highlights the perennial challenge faced by developing nations, balancing the ambition to modernize their armed forces with the harsh realities of limited financial resources. Now, Manila is left with the difficult task of charting a new path for its Air Force modernization, one that aligns with both its strategic needs and its budgetary constraints. The years-long negotiation, once filled with hope and anticipation, ended not with a celebratory handshake but with a hard reset and a sobering lesson in the complexities of defense procurement. The search for a new fighter continues, but the experience has made one thing clear. For the Philippines, sustainability and long-term viability must take precedence over prestige and high-profile acquisitions. The unraveling of the F-16 deal stands as a cautionary tale for future defense procurements, reminding policymakers that ambition must always be tempered by fiscal discipline and strategic foresight. As the Philippines looks ahead, it must now chart a new, more sustainable course for its Air Force modernization, one that ensures both security and economic stability for years to come. The U.S. offer was more than just jets. This was a comprehensive partnership, signaling a new era of defense cooperation between the two nations. For the Philippine Air Force, it represented a leap in capability, a chance to finally bridge the gap with regional air powers and modernize its aging fleet. The F-16 Viper, equipped with cutting-edge radar, advanced avionics, and superior maneuverability, would have transformed the PAF into a credible air power, able to respond to threats with speed and precision. The package included not just the aircraft, but hundreds of modern missiles, both air-to-air and anti-ship, giving the PAF a true multi-role capability for the first time in its history. For Washington, this deal was more than a simple arms sale. It was a strategic move to strengthen regional alliances, project power, and deter coercion in a rapidly changing Indo-Pacific. F-16s would have made the PAF more interoperable with U.S. and allied forces, enabling seamless joint exercises, coordinated patrols, and a unified response to regional crises. The rejection of the offer is not just a lost sale, it's a setback for broader U.S. strategy in the Indo-Pacific, complicating efforts to build a network of capable partners. For the Philippines, it's a missed opportunity for a generational upgrade, one that could have redefined its role in regional security and boosted the morale of its airmen. The decision leaves the PAF's long-awaited modernization and its ability to defend vital maritime claims in the South China Sea, hanging in limbo with uncertainty clouding the future. For now, the promise of air superiority remains just that, a promise unfulfilled as both nations look to the horizon, wondering what comes next. For Manila, the F-16 offer posed a tough choice between military modernization and urgent domestic needs. President Marcos Jr.'s administration prioritized economic recovery and food security over a decade-long multi-billion-dollar defense commitment. Finance officials argued that every dollar spent on jets was a dollar not spent on schools, hospitals, or infrastructure. The Swedish Gripen, with lower costs and better financing, became a more attractive alternative. The government's decision reflects a belief that true security is built on both military strength and economic stability. Rejecting the F-16s was not a failure to modernize, but a strategic reallocation of resources. The focus now is on affordable, sustainable defense solutions that don't compromise national development. The $5.5 billion price tag for the F-16s exceeded the Philippines' entire annual defense budget. Committing to such a deal would have locked in funds for years, limiting flexibility for other critical projects. Post-pandemic debt and the need for fiscal consolidation made the deal even less viable. The long-term costs of operating F-16s, maintenance, training, logistics, were daunting. There was real concern the jets could become hangar queens, too expensive to fly regularly. Manila is now exploring a mixed fleet approach, fewer fighters, more drones, and layered defenses. The goal is a resilient posture that fits the country's budget. The F-16 rejection is a pivot toward financial realism in defense planning. The F-16 rejection reflects a deeper debate about the Philippines' military strategy. With a vast maritime domain, some argue the focus should be on sea control and anti-access capabilities, not just fighter jets. Investments in frigates, submarines, and land-based missiles like the BrahMos offer more cost-effective deterrence. Drones and mobile missile launchers create a resilient, asymmetric defense. recent procurements show a shift from prestige platforms to practical, deterrent-focused systems. Defense leaders now talk about imposing costs on adversaries, not matching them plane for plane. The new strategy leverages geography and technology to raise the risks for any aggressor. The decision is also about sovereignty and the Philippines' evolving relationship with the U.S. Manila seeks greater self-reliance, diversifying its military suppliers beyond the U.S. By rejecting the F-16s, the Philippines signals it won't be a client state, but an independent actor. Political concerns about U.S. arms deals, like usage restrictions and congressional scrutiny, also played a role. Opting for alternatives like the Gripen could reduce political risk and increase operational freedom. Still, the move risks being seen as a snub in Washington, requiring careful diplomacy. The government insists the decision is about budget, not alliance. The U.S. Philippines partnership remains strong, but the terms are evolving. The immediate result is a delay in the Philippine Air Force's modernization. The PAF must rely on its limited FA-50s, leaving a critical capability gap in air defense. U.S. officials expressed respect for the decision, but disappointment lingers behind the scenes. The collapse is a setback for both U.S. strategy and Lockheed Martin. Domestically, the public accepts the economic rationale, but defense circles worry about national security risks. The decision reopens the door for Saab's Gripen and other contenders. A new round of competition is expected as Manila seeks a more affordable solution. The search for a modern fighter continues, but the timeline is now uncertain. The challenge balancing defense needs with fiscal responsibility. The F-16 rejection marks a turning point for the U.S. Philippines alliance. Both nations must recalibrate their approach to defense cooperation. The Philippines will likely pursue a more affordable fighter and invest in asymmetric capabilities. The U.S. may need to offer more flexible, creative security assistance to remain the partner of choice. The alliance remains strong, anchored by shared interests, but the focus is shifting to practical, sustainable solutions. Joint exercises and intelligence sharing will continue, even as procurement strategies evolve. This is not a break, but a new chapter, one defined by realism and mutual adaptation. The future of the partnership will depend on how both sides navigate these new realities.